Good morning and good afternoon, and welcome to a brand new episode of La Vida Baseball Live. We have so much to get to, but quick, some introductions. I'm Julie Alexandria here in Slam Diego with Jennifer Mercedes in New Jersey and Ozzie Gain Jr. hailing from Chicago. Guys, happy January 11th as we embark into another week of the off season and hopefully some sparks arise on the hot stove. We have lots to get to today. It is good to see your faces. How y'all doing?
Doing well, right? Like after the week we've had, it's a new week. It's so good.
Ozzie, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm actually, I outran the Rona for a year, basically, and it finally caught up with me. So I'm just recovering from COVID-19, taking all the precautions, and stay safe, people out there. I can definitely tell why it hits older people that are not that well in shape. It's hard for breathing. And it's funny because when we talk about the world of baseball, the whole exhaustion part of the conversation we've been having about players feeling tired and coming back, I can totally tell now because, even if I get 10 hours of sleep, I don't feel like I'm at 100% yet. But we're good. We're here grinding and excited to be here and that I can actually fight this disease. Medical group was awesome. I didn't realize how easy it was to get tested and all the follow-up stuff. So that was good.
Good to hear, Ozzie. I'm glad that you are feeling okay. And I mean, I know you are probably being modest as far as feeling okay, but I'm happy to have you here and that you're able to be with us during this.
Absolutely. And our prayers, and we will keep you in our good thoughts for a fast, speedy, and very healthy recovery. But we'll obviously keep up to date as you're going to continue on with us here on La Vida Baseball. We're so happy to have you and have your input as well as being Gian, and you can continue to do those shows. So we'll obviously get our updates from you firsthand. All right. Well, late last week, some big news from the hot stove. We had a big transaction when it comes to the New York Mets. Steve Cohen letting it be known, right? Like getting out there and acquiring some major pieces, Francisco Lindor and Cookie Carrasco to the Mets from the team in Cleveland. This made me so happy. I mean, this was like splattered across the Twitterverse, across every sports outlet. I could not be more happy. I'm so excited for Mr. Smile and Mr. Cookie Carlos Carrasco to have a new start in Queens. What an incredible injection of energy, right, for a team. I mean, you've got two guys who could not be more upstanding players on and off the field. You've got Cookie Carrasco, who was the 2019 recipient of the Roberto Clemente Award. And you've got Francisco Lindor, who just is one of the most likable guys in the game. So two phenomenal additions to the Mets. Jen, you must have been happy to see this one.
Yeah, super happy. I think that it's a good move for Lindor, especially. I think that it's the right team for him. It's the right type of energy. You got somebody like Marcus Stroman. I think he's gonna blend well with him and his personality. And Cookie, I'm so happy for anything good that happens to Cookie right after everything that he's been through, and he's shown us that he still has the talent level and skill level to be at this major league level. And so to be on a team that I am sure will be contending in 2021. I'm just so happy for all of them and for this fan base. And I mean, Steve Cohen, I mean, he said he was going to do big things, and here he is getting the one of the biggest, I guess, the biggest deal, right? This season with Lindor.
Ozzie, what struck you about this deal? Were you excited?
Wow. I think that the Mets didn't even have to give up that much. Francisco Lindor is a guy that's 4 years removed from being in the World Series with Cookie Carrasco. 2016, they were just a couple outs away from being the world champs. Now you see Cleveland going in a different route. The Mets have a great player. Not only a great player, because sometimes when you have a big blockbuster trade, the guy might be, late in his 30s and there for 1 or 2 years. I really think that Lindor right now coming to the Mets after a couple months of him really liking it there and the Mets, getting to see who he really is. I think that there will be an extension coming very soon. I think that Cohen is not trying to just win for one season. I really think that he's trying to establish himself in the National League East. Are the Mets going to win a World Series? I don't know, because winning a World Series, you have to have a lot of luck and be at the right place at the right time. But are they going to be competitive? Absolutely. I think that we're back to the Mets being in the playoffs year after year. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be 90-plus wins every single year. On the other side, a lot of pressure, on a young manager. He's got to win right away, but I think that he's still the right guy for the job. But it's exciting. It's been a dead offseason except for the Mets and the Padres. But the Mets, I think, are winning the offseason with this move because Francisco Lindor is one of a kind. And then obviously Cookie still has a lot of good years left in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, like Steve Cohen, he made a lot of promises to spend and to spend big, and he has come through on those promises. First, he started off with Marcus Stroman on an $18.9 million qualifying offer, re-signed Noah Syndergaard to a one-year, $9.7 million contract, signed Trevor May to a two-year, $15.5 million contract, and James McCann as well added to that list. So I think, you like somebody who is not all talk and actually comes through. He is not a politician, so he has kept all of his promises thus far.
It definitely feels like the start of a brand new dynasty, right? A new day. He cleaned house. They're cleaning house at Sportsnet New York too, if you've been keeping track of that. I know the New York Daily News and the New York Post, the trades have been definitely keeping track of who's in and who's out over there on the network side. And it just feels like a whole new era over there in Queens. My question though, the Mets, as you mentioned, Ozzy, what did they give up to the team in Cleveland? They gave up a couple of first-round picks, but what does this mean for Cleveland?
Yeah. You know what? Cleveland is a team that knows their market. Okay. They were there 4 years ago with Lindor and Cookie, who's a big part of that team, and they couldn't win it. They've done an amazing job in developing pitchers. They tried to sign Lindor. They knew that they weren't going to be able to sign him, that he was going to leave. So they needed to part ways. Do I still think that Cleveland was going to compete? Yes. I think they're going to find a way to play with a low budget team. They're not as cool as Tampa. Because Tampa does a lot of marketing, how they make their lineups and they make a lot of switches and they throw out 80 different lineups a year. But the Indians Cleveland's very similar to them. Cleveland is a team that played with just two superstars in Ramirez, Santana, and Lindor when he wasn't hurt. They still have Ramirez on their team. They're going to find the right pieces to have them compete. And they're built around pitching. So they just wanted to, they knew that they weren't going to sign him. They wanted to get something in return. And I'm sure that the Mets asked for the Carrasco because they want more pitching. So it was a deal that both sides win. Maybe they get a top prospect that works out for them. But it was a smart move for the Cleveland Indians to be able to do that.
All right. Well, we look forward to hearing what is next from both clubs. Moving over to the AL West, just a little bit of salacious news out of here. So if you guys remember March, of course, there was a lot going on in March of 2020, but one of the big baseball breaking news was that of the firing of visiting clubhouse manager Brian Bubba Harkins, who was allegedly giving quote unquote substances to visiting clubhouse team pitchers. Now, fast forward to today, and those allegations have grown, and he has mentioned names, some of the biggest names on teams' pitching staff, such as Gerrit Cole, Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander. These are the names that he has mentioned, allegedly to have used his substances. So there's a lot of different shades and a lot of different levels to this story, but one thing is for certain, I don't think he will ever be working in a clubhouse anywhere anytime soon. I mean, one of the biggest tenets of working in Major League Baseball is what you see here, what you do here stays here when it comes to clubhouse activity. But now it's kind of getting out there in the open. But if you're looking at hitters, they're saying, well, I would rather have a pitcher who has some substances so he has a little more control if he's going to go 6 deep. So, Jen, in your mind, what's next in these allegations?
Oh, well, I think if parties are smart, right, they settle, and they settle quickly, because the longer you let this linger, the longer things will come out, right? The more time you have for other things to come out, because that's just the way that those types of lawsuits work, right? Things start to leak because one party wants one thing over the other, and that's what's going to happen. If the longer it takes, the more stuff we're going to start hearing, and I'm sure that players do not want that stuff leaking. I mean, this is just sticky substances. We already know that the Angels have had a serious substance issue last year, right? Or was that already 2 years ago? I can't even remember. But there's issues amongst this actual team, and I don't think that they want those types of things to leak out. I think you settle quickly, and you move on. And like the quote in the article said, I think players do feel more comfortable having pitchers have more control over the ball. They don't want to get hit in the head. So that's my point.
Ozzy, what are the ramifications of this? First of all, what happens when things start to leak from the clubhouse into the ether? And what's next for these guys who were mentioned in the lawsuit?
I would stay quiet if I was them. I wouldn't even talk about it. To be honest with you, we all know that they have or they haven't. I don't think it's a big deal. I think that they should stay quiet and not try to go out there and deny it, because if they ever have, then they're going to look stupid. I think that this is becoming a thing. You know, I always compare it to New York in the mafia when they came down, you know, and everybody started snitching. Okay. And their omerta was done. I really feel that omerta is done in Major League Baseball. Okay. Bubba grew up in a world of baseball where baseball had your back, and baseball turned their backs on Bubba. And I don't blame him for coming out and saying, well, this is what I was doing. I think the Anaheim Angels made a mistake of why they were firing him, okay? They found a reason to fire him that was the wrong reason. They should have said, we're firing you because we don't like you, okay? And go there. But when they fired him, they said, we're firing you because you have been providing this substance to players. And I think that's where they made the big mistake. And Bubba has a right, and he's suing, and he can probably write a book. And I'll tell you this much: I know that's not the only guys that he only mentions the top guys. Right. Okay. There's everyone, and the part that's interesting is that he wasn't even the home side guy. You know, in Anaheim, I would have been like, stop giving the guys that if it's that helpful. Okay, and only give it to our guys.
I mean, yeah, and I part of me thinks that that's actually the only reason that they could find to fire him. It's that
it's a courtesy thing. Probably the home side guy was doing it for their guys. You know, sometimes it's a courtesy thing. You know, it's a thing that becomes like your thing. Okay, and guys have it the way you prepare the rosin bag, or you know, you have a certain amount of different types of Gatorade or whatever your bag is, and this was his thing, and he learned it from, like he mentions in the article, it's Troy Percival, and again, he did it this way. There's guys that did it themselves. There's guys that really liked his, so that's why they reached out to him. But it's so the Gerrit Cole comment, okay, and this is where people didn't understand about like cheating, that he's not cheating. Gerrit Cole says in the text message, "I'm going to pitch somewhere cold."
Yep.
Okay. Before I get to Anaheim in April in New York, I need the substance so I can grip the ball and know where it's going. Pretty much. The words I'm pitching somewhere cold means a lot in the world of baseball, because it wasn't like Gerrit's trying to get an advantage of like, oh, I'm just trying to do it because it's going to give me 2 or 3 miles on my fastball. That's when you're in the baseball world. That's the way that you see it, because most of the guys, when they do use it, the substance, the sticky substance, at least, it's to grip the ball, because in the cold weather, if you look at the evolution of the baseball, man, some baseballs are wind up so tight now. The seams are not as high, so guys need to figure out ways to grip it better. Guys are throwing a lot harder now. And so when you're comparing that to, let's say, Vaseline, for example, those are 2 complete different things. So I think people could hear the word substance and they throw everything in the same pile. It's not. I think that the sticky substance, the way that they're talking about it in this case, compared to like the Vaseline, the cutting the ball, doing all that, I think this is actually a benefit to baseball. And I think Major League Baseball needs to recheck that rule and say, you know, maybe the pine tar is not that bad for our pitchers to be able to use in certain weather.
Yeah, I don't get it. Batters are allowed to use the pine tar, so why not the pitchers?
Because people that made Major League Baseball rules never played Major League Baseball. or played baseball, period. No, or played baseball, period. Again, every rule in Major League Baseball has been told for the hitters, for the hitter. Okay, we've lowered the mound. You know, we've made the baseballs tighter. We've done all these things to pitchers. And again, 20 years ago, I just saw when Phil Niekro passed away, he was on late night TV showing the host his little scuffing tricks. Okay, he was on TV showing how he cheated in Major League Baseball, and everyone thought it was so funny. Now we live in a society where we think everyone's so perfect. Everyone's doing these guys again. Like, are they putting stuff on the ball? Gerrit Cole does not need to put Vaseline on the ball to get movement. Like, he's in his prime of his career. Gerrit Cole at 45 years old, I'll see it. You know, that happens when you get older, but guys don't have to pitch that old. And I think the pine tar is a thing to basically help them get the grip. And it's actually, I think, a safety situation. But I think it's a rule that needs to go away. One of those funny rules in Major League Baseball. But the players don't say anything. Anaheim, just pay the guy and let him go live his life because you fired him, wrongfully fired, a guy that people liked. And he has a support. You know, I've asked people around Major League Baseball, they're all supporting Bubba. No one's saying Bubba's snitched or everyone's like, yeah, Bubba's right. Got fired for the wrong reason. And again, hopefully, you know, he won't work in a clubhouse again because that usually doesn't happen when you work from one team to another team. That rarely happens in baseball. But I hope that he gets his and people stop being so, you know, naive about the whole grip thing. Like it's not that big of. If I get on the mound and I throw with the pine tar, I'm still going to be bad. These guys are Major League Baseball pitchers.
Okay, so silver lining perspective, could this be the first step in the right direction for starting those conversations that maybe it's time to review these quote unquote rules or unspoken rules or any sort of, you know, determining, you know, whether a guy's using a substance, it means cheating. Is this sort of the first step in the right direction when it comes to pitchers being able to use something to gain control?
I'll give you an example, okay? I love it when guys use it in the pen, okay, and they come in and you can tell that they have it somewhere, okay? But then you got some relievers, guys can Google them, that their hat looks like, the back of their hat is like completely white and it's just got pine tar, like, so, because then it becomes like, oh, come, like really? Like you're really on the mound getting off. So I think that when you make the rule and say, okay, like licking your fingers, like you can lick your fingers off the mound, but not on the mound. That was a big one for a long time. But if you say, hey, the pine tar is okay, and you have it, even have it in the rosin bag, right next to the rosin bag, okay, then it becomes part of the game. Then if I see anything in your hat, okay, now I can say, time out, what's in your hat? Why does your hat look like it's from like 1910? I think that gap between everyone thinks is a sticky substance. I'm not saying every pitcher out there. I know that there's guys out there that push those limits and say, oh, I only have sticky substance. And they might have something else. But they know that someone's not going to visit the mound because they think it's a sticky substance. So that's where you have the leverage of like, you have to guess, is it the sticky substance? Because that one, if you take it away and say, hey, everybody can use a sticky substance, now you're going to go to the mound and say, what does that person have if it's not the rosin back and the pine tar? So the rule itself is allowing guys to be able to cheat because guys are kind of finding loopholes and saying, well, I'm just using a sticky substance. Look, and that's why managers don't call each other out.
At the end of the day, Major League Baseball always wants to just make money. So put out your own line of a sticky substance. You sell it through to little league, high school, college, and you make money. Come on,
Jen, you do. When you're in little league, when you're playing little league or playing high school baseball or college, they don't have the money to change the ball every time the ball's hit outside. Okay,
right.
So let's be real. Again, like it's something that the ball changes when you're playing. Only Major League Baseball gets to play with a pure, clean, brand new ball. And that's again, the ball changes through the aspect of the game. And again, it's just it's one of those funny rules. They just need to be able to explain it, say, hey, this is what's going on, and not call these guys. And this guy just wants to get paid. Again, he got fired. Bubba can't be more than 50 years old. He's a young guy. He wants to keep working, and he's been working in baseball for 30 years. Very hard going to get a job and saying, what's your experience? I've been a clubhouse attendant for 30 years. That doesn't apply in the real world. So I get it. I get what he is, and he's upset. And shame on the Anaheim Angels. When you're going to fire someone, fire them for the right reasons. Say, I don't like you. Think you're horrible at your job. But don't find an excuse and say, oh, I don't. And that happens a lot in baseball. We're going to find a technicality. Just say, hey, we want to go to a different route. We want a clean house like the Mets are doing, and that's just what we want. We want new blood. We're tired of seeing the old faces.
Yeah, I mean, that's a gray area. I mean, it's tough sometimes to find cause. But Jen, I love your suggestion, solving all the world's problems. I think it's only a matter of time until they come out with something that has its own Instagram handle.
Do it. Bowling. The bowlers.
Yeah.
The stuff that they do it. That's for the people that are wondering what it is, people that play the cello. Okay, there's a sticky thing that you can use to play, like musicians use it. And there's people that brand it. Absolutely. I would love to buy my kids Gerrit Cole's sticky substance that he came up with. so my kid doesn't drill somebody in the head.
Oh,
I completely agree with
Ozzy, that could go so many ways, but we'll stick to baseball right now.
It's true. That is very true. All right. So for some good news, but not so good news, by all accounts, the 2021 baseball season is scheduled to start on time, which is a very hopeful thing. But not so for the minor leagues. Because of coronavirus protocols and wanting to lessen the number of spring training invitees, they are just limiting spring training. When they say it will start on time, they're just talking about the major league guys and, of course, the AAA guys. But normally when you have spring training, you have a multitude of gentlemen who get invitations. But this time they have decided, now according to Baseball America, MLB has decided that players at the AA and Class A levels will not report to spring training until after both MLB and AAA players have departed camp. Now, of course, that's just for everyone's health and safety. But my question is, how is this going to impact these guys when you take into account that MLB has already condensed the minor league system, going from 160 teams to 120 teams last year? They made no secret about the fact that they are looking to cull the herd, as it were, to break down the number of teams and to make rise to their own independent league and instructional league. When they got rid of the Appalachian League, they got rid of the Pioneer League, and they're trying to, just kind of cull the herd there. So what does that mean for these guys and their development, Jen?
I think that just the same as we're going to see in a couple of years with schools, education levels, kids either staying behind, I think that development of kids is going to be delayed by a year, and the same with minor league players. Everything is going to be delayed by a year because of the way that everything has happened because of COVID. I mean, they haven't had the proper type of experiences to develop in the way that they would have normally. And now you're going to have these players in there at a later time, which means season at a later time, scouts and all of that, get to see them later. And just the development wise, and Ozzy, I know you can speak to this, how much time it takes for a player to develop and to develop properly. You need all of the time that is set up. Unless you're just an exceptional player, some need more time than others.
This is a mistake that people are going to make, okay? And this is how you know when you're a good general manager or not, and you're running a really good organization. Juan Soto did not need time to develop, okay? Yeah. Bring him up to the big league camp. The guy could, he's a guy that was ready to go. A guy like Juan Uribe might be a little different story, okay? I'm just throwing a player out there. A guy that might need some seasoning in the minor leagues. Minor league baseball, okay, when you got a kid in single A, rookie ball, single A, double A, are the most important years of any Major League Baseball's formation. And why is that? It's the first time you're coming to playing professional baseball, okay? Meaning you're taking your batch from playing, twice on the weekend to playing every day as a major leaguer, okay? You're investing money in this future. So we've just saw in the Cookie Carrasco trade and the Lindor how important prospects are. Prospects are like the strength, the livelihood of how good your franchise is going to be down the future, either because they're going to play for you or you're going to use them as trade bait. So having these kids sit out this long, I hope that they don't make it a rule that they have to sit out this long. If I was a Major League Baseball team, I'd be spending money in the Dominican Republic, okay? Putting in better protocols, telling all the guys that are in my minor league system, saying, okay, we can't play in the U.S., but everyone's going to go play in the DR, okay? For example, because my academy's there, and everyone's going to have the protocols, and everyone's going to be playing, and I keep them playing, okay? I keep them playing, I keep them active, I keep their swings going. Because at the end of the day, the less time they spend practicing, okay, in your system, the longer it takes for them to develop. So this is not, you're not going to affect the one or two prospects that are going to be with big league camp. That's fine. Those guys are going to be there. The guys that are going to be on your team 2, 3, 4 years down the road, the guys that you're trading, the guys that you're trying to make trades for because they're high ceiling guys, those are the guys that you're affecting. So I really think that they need to think outside the box, okay, and say, how do I get these kids to develop and keep the development going? Because if not, they're doing themselves a huge disservice, because these guys are going to take that much longer to develop.
And not only that, one thing that I hope that we don't see is, because of these guys and not having the proper type of development and area to develop, coaches to tell them what they need to do, right? Like, it's important, like you're saying, Ozzy, but what I hope we don't see is teams cutting these players during this specific time because they don't see something in them, or they're, you know, last year they were batting 300 and now they're batting 200 or whatever the case may be. And I don't want that, because one, they're going to use, you know, money as an excuse, but then you put that on top of it, and that's so much pressure on these young kids who already just have an immense amount of pressure to try and make it for their families, right? I mean, when we talk about the minor leagues, we're talking about a large percentage of them who come from Latin America. And if you're already lacking in education and you're lacking in funds, you're lacking in so many other areas, that the one thing that you need is support, and it's support from the major league team. So I hope that we do not see a large number of players being cut because of lack of development, and it's through no fault of their own.
I agree. Yeah. This is good. And this has a repercussion all the way through. You know, if my son right now was 16 years old and had an opportunity to sign, I might be considering A, school, or B, somewhere else, signing as go play maybe in the Mexican league, minor league system for a little bit, or Japan, which a lot of Dominican players have done, because let's be honest, Asia's done a way better job at this disease in the world of baseball on guys playing and developing. And again, those things are going to start changing the way free agents are looked at, because you want to keep playing. When you're that age, you got to keep playing. Again, I always laugh because Major League Baseball has the money, okay? At this point in their lives, it's more about profit for them. They could easily set up a minor league, you know, find 5 sites and have, you know, rookie ball to AA, you know, have 2 teams per team and then host them there and then have the camps. You know, you don't need the big league facility. There's ways to get around it. They just choose not to, which I think is a mistake. And I'm looking at now, if I was an owner, I say, wait, so what about, I invested money in these kids. Why do I want them sitting out? I need them playing somewhere. I don't care where. We can go to Alaska, Puerto Rico, Dominican, but I need these kids to be playing. Obviously, when they're playing, you pay them, but I need that talent to come in year 2, year 3, because those are the guys that you want to play for you if you're not going to pay for someone like Lindor. So you got to make a choice. You either pay for Lindor or you develop your young players. You can't have it both ways. So that's when you're an owner, you need to decide that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, our last topic, really quick before we go. Last night, if you are watching the NFL on CBS, Nickelodeon aired an NFL game that proved that technology can make football way more fun, and it can make it for the kids and bring in an entire new audience. Is this something that baseball and MLB should emulate when it comes to their broadcasts? Maybe perhaps do a little collaboration with Nickelodeon and see how many viewers they get and how fun they can make the game when it comes to making baseball fun again. So, Jen, I don't know, did you have a chance to watch? And what would you make of a Nickelodeon MLB game?
So I saw some of the clips and I thought it was fun, right? I mean, the colors and the animation, I think all of that just brings a child in. As soon as you turn on the TV and you see, and a kid sees a cartoon, automatically they're drawn. They're like, "What's that? That's for me. That's something I need to watch." And so I think if baseball emulated this, they would, oh my gosh, bring in so many more fans. I think we have a clip from last night's game if we can show that. Let's see. Let us know.
Yes. Breeze, hand it off. Camaro plunging forward, end zone and touchdown.
Hey, there's the slide. Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew, pew.
Hey.
And that's the big time rush I was looking for. Camaro gets an end zone, and they're going crazy in Bikini Bottom.
Oh, the Krusty Krab, it's lit.
So how much fun would it be to have actual slime come out in the end zone, right?
Well, you know what I liked about it? Nickelodeon is a channel that a lot of people in my age group in the 30s grew up with. So the whole slime thing was something that was, I think it was more exciting for some adults, and in the booth have multiple simulcasts of the game, because the game, the way that you show it for a little kid in a home run, for example, and you have slime going everywhere, and marketing stuff and just colors, maybe somebody who's in their 60s might not enjoy that. But if there's a little kid, they might watch it just for that. So I think that it was super smart from Nickelodeon. They're getting in a combination now with a big league sport. For Major League Baseball, absolutely. This was a playoff game, okay? Wild card weekend in the United States, probably one of the biggest weekends in NFL, and they went with Nickelodeon. Do you think we can't do this for Detroit, Seattle, in May?
Yeah.
I'm being honest. Like,
I would watch.
Things that, like, there's.
Yeah.
I would watch. That's what I'm saying. Like there's games out there that.
Yeah, no, listen, right now there are so many there's so many popular cartoons, and I mean SpongeBob obviously is the one that everybody is most familiar with, I think, around the world. And yes, why not have SpongeBob and Squidward, and Krabby, the Krabby Patty guy selling burgers in the stands. I mean, you could do so much with something like this. And somebody had mentioned, what if we had Keenan and Kel broadcasting a game through our youth? I mean, come on, we would have been like so glued to the TV, even if you're not a baseball fan. But we all loved and grew up with Nickelodeon. I think that a lot of this younger generation is doing the same. And Disney too is another one that's out there. If you want, I know ESPN is now pulling back, but Disney is another one that could possibly do something similar. You have ESPN there. You have the Disney rights already. Why not collaborate? And hey, maybe they're already on board with this. But here is an idea. Why not collaborate with one of the teams, one of the games? I mean, All-Star Game is probably your best bet for something like this. But this is a lot of fun.
Oh, Jen, you just brought back so many Good Burger memories. I'm just like, I hear Keenan and Cal like, welcome to Good Burger. Can I take your, but you bring up a good point. If you look at the business of the business, so Nickelodeon is a Viacom property, Viacom and CBS, big merger from last year. So this was bound to happen. I don't see any sort of natural marriage when it comes to the networks that air MLB and a Viacom property. But as you mentioned, ESPN, Disney, ABC, all those family of networks, they absolutely could get in on it and do something in a parallel universe that emulates what they were able to do with SpongeBob and get those Disney. I mean, my gosh, look at The Mandalorian, one of the hottest properties on Disney Plus. And could you imagine you've got Boba Fett? Like,
Yeah. Yes. You've got so many characters that we all growing up with. And yes, the possibilities are limitless. And we all know that Disney is about using your imagination. Use your imagination, guys. We are 100% down for something like that.
I want to see Baby Yoda. Like,
no, but that's what I mean though. Like, I think that today, the way that sports are viewed in our generation, it has just changed completely. Okay. The way that we even consume sports, the rise of La Vida Baseball, the rise of Barstool Sports, the rise of Bleacher Report, The Athletic. We see ESPN getting financially more in trouble, and Disney continuously, taking them out because in their sports side, they've kept doing the same thing, and they keep getting disrupted. When you look at these young individual kids, they're the ones that are making esports, what they are, because they want to watch action and moving and colors. And you can't do that with the game of baseball. You're not going to put your virtual players, but how do you bring that world into a broadcast? Okay. How can I make the game more exciting? How can I make the home run, that much more awesome for the experience for the families at home? The NFL took a chance. And I think that the more that you do things like this, I think it benefits you more than hurts you. Like, no one's not going to watch a game because Nickelodeon's on it. No one, I was surprised no one was like protesting it, saying what is going on? Is this so wrong? But I really feel like Major League Baseball needs to open up.
Some people were hating on it. Some people were hating on the broadcast.
But there's people that hate on anything. There's people that hate on like every. But that's what I'm saying. So like, I really feel like Major League Baseball specifically, okay, you have nothing to lose at this point. Like, the fans that are going to watch you, like, you put a man on second, you went through the 3-pitcher rule. Like, so now it's the time that you've literally need to just go and say, okay, let's get games and try to see how far we can take it before changing rules, because I don't even think kids know what rules are, to be honest with you. Like, they really don't. Like, they don't know.
That was something that they did really good. As far as some things that I've heard was that Nickelodeon did a really good job of showing the rules and telling kids what the rules were.
But as kids though, but I'm saying for the kids. So when you're watching the game, because I watched it, my daughter, okay, would have been, if she would have been a little bit older, she would have been more in tune to watch the game with me, because now it's everything is characters. Now everything is colors. And so if you're a father, okay, and your kid wants to watch TV and you want to have the game on and they want to watch it on the kids channel, you're going to do it with them. Okay.
Of course. I mean,
of course. So I think they're onto something huge. I'm not going to lie. I think it was awesome.
Listen, one of the biggest movies this past year was Soul, which came out, or it was this year, right? It came out, was Soul. And that was on Disney. The way you can incorporate the music, the characters coming in, somebody throwing out the first pitch and doing the announcements and the play-by-play. There's so many ways and so many things that you can do. Right now, animation is where it's at. And even for adults and children, you incorporate a lot of that. I think that you will have more eyes on the screen. At the end of the day, that's what they want.
Ozzy, you just brought up such a good point, because in my house, like Kingston, my son is only 2 years old, right? But last night my husband wanted to watch the football game and Kingston wanted to watch, YouTube videos of garbage trucks. But can you imagine if he was a little bit older, if Adela was a little bit older, and they had a simulcast for kids for every nationally televised baseball game? And sure, you could add football game, NBA game, but for the sake of argument, because we're talking baseball, for every game of the week, for every Sunday night game, for every Monday night baseball, right? Could you imagine if they did a kids version? Adults would watch too.
Yeah.
Even if the commentary was very simple and in its simplest form, and you had little, like you said, animated creatures like pop up in the stands. I mean, adults would watch it too. And that could bring the two generations together. You could have grandparents watching with the grandkids.
Julie, how many times aren't you trying to watch something and your kid won't let you because they want to watch something else? So if you have the cartoon in there, you both can watch something at the same time. Boom, like.
Did we just solve it? Did we just?
Yeah, you did. The history of the game. The history of the game, I kept saying it, taking it to cartoons. You can talk about, do storylines on players and show them on a more human side for kids. You could do all your propaganda around the kids. And that, to some people, is probably going to be more exciting. I know that I would do it over watching, a regular broadcast and telecast, because I'm going to be honest, when I'm listening to the game, sometimes I have it on mute. Why? Well, I've been watching baseball for a long time. You're not going to tell me anything I don't know. But for someone that's new to the game, I would love them to help them explain the game of baseball to my kid. Oh, this is so in the NFL game, I loved it because I'm like, okay, my kid was old enough. Now I don't have to explain to him what a safety is. They're doing it for me. And that's how you fall in love with the game. I think that's how, when you have that experience, I look back at how I fell in love with the game. And it's obviously, I've been around baseball forever, but it's like, I watched it with someone said, this is the team that we root for. This is what's happening. And you make it a part. I think that we grew up with a time there was not a lot on TV. So you just watch a sport live and that was what everybody did. But now there's so many options. That's the only way to compete against garbage trucks and 1,000 different cartoons on YouTube, right. Because again, sometimes with the stuff that these kids watch on YouTube, you're like, what are they watching? And it's not even, it's just something. But they got 7 million viewers. Major League Baseball needs to get on top of this.
And wouldn't that be an incredible opportunity to bring in new, diverse, younger voices into the broadcast booth? What an amazing way to give a chance for a college student to call a nationally broadcast game for kids. I mean, the opportunities are so endless, and it could just open up a whole new top of funnel for MLB. But hey, what do we know? But it was certainly really fun. What's that, Jen?
I said we can only dream.
We can only dream, exactly. We can think it up in our heads. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for watching. We will be back on Wednesday with much more La Vida Baseball. Jen, Ozzy, always a pleasure. We'll see you next time.